All right, aloha, friends. Welcome to another episode of Game Time with the Goss. I'm Brian Gossett, and today joined with my good buddy Nolan Ruth. You can catch him on Twitter, real Nolan Ruth. He's also joined Texan Live, doing some broadcasting. He started his broadcasting career, I guess, just the other day with Aledo. Also a beat writer for Rivals, Baylor Bears. Thanks for joining me, buddy. Good to see you. Um, you're sometimes referred to as the Parker County Godfather, and I think it was Diggs that brought it up, but the context and the backstory I'm not too familiar with. Do you remember when that nickname popped up?
All right, well, to stay on brand, I got to go hat backwards when I tell this story. Uh, I don't remember what game it was, but I think it was like week 11. It was the week before the playoffs, and I was talking about the game I had just come from, and I don't remember if it was Aledo or Brock, but we were all at Bobby V's, and Diggs was there, and I had found out actually that Millsap had gotten the second seed in their district. They had not finished fourth like I thought because there was kind of a three-way tie that year, and uh, so I got excited because the fourth seed would have put them a first-round matchup with Holiday, which is almost certain death. Instead, they drew Henrietta, who they had played early in the year. There's kind of a budding rivalry between those two. And so I got excited. I actually stood up in Bobby V's, and I think that's when Diggs first said, we should start calling you the Parker County Godfather, or he mentioned something along those lines. And hey, man, someone gives you a nickname, you take it and run with it. So I try to stay on brand as possible. Both high school games I went to, well, two out of the three I went to were both Parker County games. So, hey, man. And I got one this week as well. So, yeah.
Awesome. I love the name drop Bobby V's. Maybe they can sponsor the
Sponsor this podcast. we we
episode.
gotta show this to Bruce, man. Maybe he'll
Yeah,
maybe he'll throw you a bone.
help us out. So yeah, Parker County week one, the regular season kicked off last week. Parker County teams uh, went 4-6. You had Aledo beating Dallas Parish, Millsap beating Hamilton, Azel Christian beating Bryson, and you were at that Aledo game.
Yep.
Just
Yes, I was. Yep.
checking it out. Dallas Parish. It was 50-35, a battle of state champs from last season. Uh, Kind of a new era with Robbie Jones. Of course, he's been there for 2 decades, but first year head coach for Aledo. The new Tim Buchanan Stadium. But yeah, what were your thoughts about that game and the Bearcats?
Well, first of all, everything I told pretty much everybody about Robbie Jones was true. Nothing changed. They came in with the same expectations. The team looked exactly the same scheming wise. The only difference was, as I mentioned, he would get a little aggressive if he had the chance to. And of course, there were a couple times he went for it on fourth down. I think there was only one that he didn't get, or I think he may have actually called a timeout and settled for a field goal. But no, he was not afraid to get aggressive with his offensive play calling. So I saw that coming. That was on brand. That was what I expected. Other than that, Aledo looked like, I mean, just a team destined for something special this year. Talking to Kevin Longquist before the game, Kevin was talking about how a lot of people think that this could be compared to the 2013 Aledo team that scored 1,023 points. I'm pretty sure still the only team in high school football in the country to ever score 1,000 points or more. People are thinking that this offense could be right on brand, and you know what? I saw it. The only time their offense really struggled is when they didn't have Haas Haney on the field. When they got up 3 scores, they let the backup in, Gavin Beard. He got a couple reps, and he didn't look terrible. He's got some growing to do, especially this year, because it looks like he's going to be the guy to take over for Haas next year. But that was really the only time the offense didn't look super great. Other than that, they looked fantastic. And this upcoming game against Geyer, which I will be at on Friday, I think Aledo's got a real shot at it this year.
Yeah, Guy also coming off a good win, playing their former coach, Ronnie Webb and Rockwell Heath on the road. So a pair of 1-0 teams and state championship appearance teams, as Geyer made it to the state title game last year in 6A. Um, so for Aledo, obviously a lot of returners back and starters back. One guy that caught my eye and just helped me out because I don't remember him last year, but Ray Guillory, I think is his
Ray
name.
Guillory. Yep.
Yeah. And he kind of just almost had 200 yards total offense, rushing and receiving. I think he finished with 3 total touchdowns. But I guess Coach Jones there's another weapon there on offense.
Yeah, so he actually spent last season as a freshman at Mansfield Lake Ridge, and in a district with Duncanville and DeSoto and Waxahachie, he actually led running backs in rushing yards in that district. He moved into Aledo earlier this summer, won the starting job. And first play of the game, they threw a little swing pass out to him, and he goes 75 yards for a touchdown. I mean, you can't really ask for a better start to your season than that. So, yeah, Ray Guillory is a big weapon there, and I know that they still have Hawk Patrick Daniels. He is going to be used more in a slot role this year, but he did get a lot of carries out of the backfield. So they've kind of got a two-headed dragon at running back right now. And then, of course, Haas Haney, if he has to run, you have another speed weapon right there. He did not have to run. As a matter of fact, I think he only had 12 rushing yards on Friday. He didn't have to run at all. They really mainly relied on his arm. And when you can do that, I mean, you've got a great football team right there. I mean, think about that. The best player and the fastest player on your team is not having to run at all because you got these other two weapons. Like that's a powerful offense right there. And I liked the offensive line as well in front of them. They blocked really, really well. They're going to get better over time. There were a couple of adjustments that I saw that could have been made. I'm sure they saw them too, and I'm sure they'll make them. So, yeah, just an incredible offense. And Guillory, I mean, I think was just that perfect piece. I mean, we haven't had a full actual running back at Aledo since Jace McClellan. It's been someone coming in from safety, someone coming in from corner, someone coming in from wide receiver. Since Jace McClellan, this is the first true running back Aledo has. And yeah, I think he's going to do really well this year.
And I think one of the bigger questions coming in was on both sides, the linemen, right? Because they lost so many linemen on
Yeah.
the end offense. But like you said, it's the first game, so they'll work out the kinks. But overall, I mean, pretty good for the D line, O line.
The O line, like I said, there were a couple of adjustments I saw that probably could have been made. I'm sure Robbie, he's a great coach. I'm sure he saw them too. So I'm sure that they'll get that adjusted, especially going into this game against Denton Geyer, where they're going to really, really have to be on their game in the trenches. And then the defense looked good. I really like the pass rush. They had a little bit of trouble actually finishing the pass rush. They let the quarterback kind of escape the pocket there and get some late throws off. But they forced a few hurries. Matter of fact, one of his more hurried passes was one of the interceptions by Devon Keys, and it was way downfield. And not to take anything away from Devon, because he read the route perfectly and ran downfield with him and made an incredible catch while the wide receiver was trying to get it from him. But that D line forced that throw too. So Devon saw that one coming a mile away. They just, they need to work on getting that finish. They need to get the sack. They need to work on getting him in the backfield and not letting him get that ball out, because there was one play where they scrambled and he ended up throwing back across the field to a wide open receiver that the secondary had lost. If you don't finish the sack on that defensive line, then the secondary is going to lose its focus for half a second. Wide receivers are going to run in the other direction and someone's going to get open. That's what's going to happen. So passing wise, they need to finish the sacks. They did really good on hurries, but they need to get that to that quarterback more. And then the rushing game as well. They were getting the push, but I think the running back for Parrish got through them a few more times than they would have liked. And especially against Denton Geyer coming up, you're not going to be able to do that and expect to win the game. But I mean, it didn't happen often. No, I thought they had a pretty solid game, and I think they're going to have a really good year. They're, like we said, trial by fire. You got Parrish, who's a defending state champion. You got Geyer coming up, who is a semifinalist from last year after falling to DeSoto. This is a gauntlet of a schedule. This is how you get better. This is where you find your flaws and where to work on them. And that's exactly what's going to be. I not to say that the defensive line is a flaw, because I don't think it is, but there's always room for improvement. And of course, with 4 brand new starters on the defensive front, there's definitely room to get better.
Devon Keys, you mentioned he's one of the top recruits, not only on Aledo's defensive unit, but in the country, going to LSU. Did that kid get any bigger?
Yes, yeah. Uh, he didn't get much taller, but he got broader for sure. I remember when I was working with Killer Frogs at TCU. I think he and Haas were like at the baseball game or something, and I walked past him and said hi to both of them, and I wasn't intimidated by Devon at all. Then I see him in pads on Friday. I was down on the field, and all of a sudden, I'm afraid of that kid. I would not want to take the field against him. That's for sure. I was a fullback when I was in high school, man, and if I had to stick my nose right into his chest on every play, I would quit or fake an injury or something. I wouldn't want to go against him.
For sure. Same here. Couple other Parker County wins. Again, Weatherford 44, Keller Central 19, and Millsap 20, Hamilton 7, Hazel Christian 41, Bryson 0. I guess we'll start with the biggest school in Parker, Weatherford. Pretty nice win against Keller Central.
Yeah, and I think this is a great way to start the year for them. They did not have a bad season last year. People forget they started the year 5-0 last year. They're not a bad team at all, and I expect them to get better over time this year as well. Of course, they're just in a tough district. You've got North Crowley, you've got Euless Trinity, who a lot of people think are going to be back this year as the year moves on. Boswell is bringing back a good team. Crowley High has really been on an upswing. LD Bell has come out of nowhere the past couple of years. They're just in that tough district. They need to be able to, and I think they were just one upset away if they could have pulled it off from making the playoffs last year. And I fully expect them to be right back in it, and they just need that one extra upset to get it done. And I think that this was a good way to start the year. This boosts your confidence, especially. I mean, Keller Central. I mean, in recent years, they've been on a bit of a downswing, but Keller Central has never been a bad program. They've been a playoff team year in, year out, pretty consistently. So winning that handily on the road in Keller against the Chargers, yeah, that's a great win right there. And I fully expect them to just keep getting better. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see another 5-0 start this year.
Last time I had talked to you, you kind of had a lot of praise and high hopes for Millsap, and they start 1-0, beating Hamilton 20-7. Seems like a really good defensive execution on their part. But yeah, thoughts about the Bulldogs getting that first win?
Yeah. So in 2022, that final score I think was 40-7. So I'm actually hoping that means that Hamilton got 20 points better, not that not the inverse of that situation. But no, that's a good win, and I know that Coach Johnson is going through a couple weird years. He's got new faces that he's having to plug in. It was the same last year. It's just there's a weird turnover going through Millsap right now, especially with the upperclassmen. He's got a lot of underclassmen that are going to see some time this year, which is a good thing because that we'll get some experience down the road. I keep hearing things about this 8th grade class in Millsap. They're thinking this could be the class. So it's not bad that these underclassmen are getting that experience. I was a little worried when I saw the 20-7 final score. Of course, I was happy for Coach Johnson. # protect the brotherhood. But yeah, there's some concern there when you drop off 20 points right there in the season opener to a team that really you should have beaten 35-0 or 35-7. Yeah, there's a little bit of concern there. I think we'll know more this week. They got Henrietta and this week, and that's a budding rivalry and usually a playoff rivalry too. Those teams are no stranger to playoff matchups. So yeah, I think we're gonna learn a lot from this Henrietta game, and I hope to talk to Coach Johnson soon, and we can figure that out.
Talking with Nolan Ruth here. A couple of close losses for Parker County. Springtown losing to Alvarado 42-41, and Brock losing to Pleasant Grove 10-7. I mean, we all can expect Brock to again beat Brock and make a deep playoff run as they play one of the toughest non-district schedules, playing higher classifications as well as state champ Gunner. Um, but you kind of like Springtown. They come up short 1 point, but a very good Alvarado team. But moving forward, you do like their season, don't you?
I do. Of course, the biggest fear in their season is going to be that Decatur game. But this week, playing an Alvarado team very close. Remember, Alvarado upset Stephenville last year. So this is yet again another team that's no slouch. These Parker County schools have some pretty good non-district opponents. Playing them that close and especially in that high scoring of a game, I think is promising for Springtown. Obviously, they're going to have some defensive gaps to fill, but coming off of last year when they were real young, and Coach Brian Hewlett actually mentioned to me before last season that he thought last year was going to be one of the weakest teams he's ever coached. And that just so happened to be the case. But now he brings a lot of them back. They have experience. And this was despite the loss, this was a good measuring stick right here to see where they were and how they've grown. And I think they're just going to get better. And again, it all comes down to that Decatur game. That's going to be the big one. But yeah, no, this if there's any such thing as a good loss, this is as close as you're going to get.
Opened up the season Thursday night with another Parker County team. That was Peaster taking on Toller.
Yep, I was down there for that one.
Sort of. I mean, it's a transition year, new coach, graduated some really good players. Talking to Diggs after that game, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he had mentioned it was maybe 14-9 or something real close, like in the third quarter until Toller really turned on the Jets. But just talk about Peaster in that first half or first 2.5 quarters. Did you see some good things from the Greyhounds?
Yeah, absolutely. They had some very long, sustaining drives, and Toller took the opening drive and drove right down the field and scored. And you're talking about the number 3 team in Class 2A right now, and in 2A Division 1. So I wasn't surprised with that opening drive that the Rattlers just drove right down and scored. But I mean, Peaster was having some drives, and Ty Steedley, the quarterback, was making some good throws. They had a little bit of trouble getting the running game going. And when that happens, and when you're one-dimensional and you have to throw all the time, it's going to be really hard to win a football game. But they had some pretty good sustained drives, and I think they stalled like 3 drives in a row at the 35, or maybe it was even the 25-yard line of Toller. So they were getting deep into enemy territory. They just could not finish the drive. And honestly, I was pretty impressed. But their defense was really, really good, and they held Toller to I think you're right. I think it was 14-9 at one point in the third quarter. Peaster's one touchdown came on a blocked punt that rolled right into the end zone. They've got to get some offensive things figured out. Their defense looked phenomenal. And then, of course, when it all, the final score doesn't speak for it. It was 49-9. It just doesn't speak for it. It just all fell apart right at the end. There was a kickoff that had a weird hop, bounced right back to Toller. There were two interception returns for touchdowns. One of them was definitely a freak play. The other one was kind of just sailed a little long and landed right in the hands of the safety. Just week 1 stuff that you can fix with reads and everything. It just all kind of fell apart there in the end. But yeah, for 3 solid quarters, I mean, I thought Peaster was doing pretty well. And now with Boyd losing to Blue Ridge like they did, I've got to really think that Peaster might have a team to make a run at that 4th playoff spot in District 4 3A.
Awesome. And then you capped off your week 1 on Saturday in Frisco with Rockwall and Cedar Hill. Rockwall just running away with that one. Overall thoughts about the Jackets?
Man, when their running game was phenomenal, and Cedar Hill this year and last year for sure haven't been the best team, especially what they could have been. But when you can run the ball like that, like Rockwall did, and then even just when you throw the ball like that, and they had a quarterback tandem, they had 2 different quarterbacks that were just dropping dimes everywhere, all over the field, and some incredible catches. There was one-handed catch in the back corner of the end zone that I didn't think he made. He held onto the ball and got his feet down, and our friend Kenny Matthews was standing right next to me when that play happened. And I mean, we just looked at each other and we couldn't believe what we had seen. I mean, I mean, this is just pure utter domination from Rockwall. But of course, no disrespect, a win is a win, and a win is always a good thing. However, I don't think Cedar Hill is the measuring stick that they usually are. So
Yeah.
we'll learn a lot more about Rockwall in the upcoming weeks. I'm drawing a blank on who they have in the rest of their non-district at the moment, but no, that they looked really impressive, and you know what, Rockwell's going to do that. That Rockwell's going to be the team that is going to go 3-4 rounds deep every time, and it's just a matter of time before they find themselves in a semifinal again, or possibly even a state championship. I'm not saying it'll be this year, but it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, Cedar Hill kind of, another transition. Yeah, they struggled last year, but also have a new coach with Carlos Lynn moving to Crowley. Looks like Rockwall this week gets on the road, Dallas Jesuit, who's always
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
yeah, and then they get Prosper, who coming off a good 42-41 win against Euless Trinity, and then they'll finish up with South Grand Prairie. So pretty good non-district for the Yellow Jackets. Um, so just moving to week 2, I think you mentioned, going to Aledo and Geyer on Friday. Is there any other games you got going on here in week 2?
Tomorrow, it's not Parker County, but tomorrow I'll be at McKinney ISD to watch McKinney Boyd and Byron Nelson. Don't have I'm pretty much going into this one blind at the moment. I haven't really done my research on either team yet, but I know that those two have kind of a budding rivalry. I think they've played every single year for the past 6 years. So,
Yeah.
It's a nice little rivalry. Byron Nelson makes the trip across to the other side of the Metroplex to take on the Broncos of McKinney Boys. And so, and the very, very friendly people over there at McKinney always treat media really well. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I think I'll get some good insight on both of those this week, and then Saturday, college football's back, baby, and I will be covering my first game with Baylor. The Baylor Bears are taking on the Texas State Bobcats, and yeah, I'm excited for that one. I've got a couple previews coming out in the next couple days for that one.
Awesome. And yeah, you can check it out on Rivals and as well as his Twitter at Real Nolan Ruth. Yeah, Byron Nelson. Don't know much about McKinney Boyd, but yeah, Byron Nelson had a big blowout win against Plano, and thoughts about how's the passing game gonna do when their quarterback had graduated, and but no, this new kid Tom Van Groot, I think is his name, had like 321 in the air, 6 touchdowns. So, kind of kind of didn't miss a beat, but definitely a
I look forward to seeing it.
little bit stronger test with McKinney Boyd. And then finally, just gotta kind of shout out because I think it's awesome. But doing a little broadcasting with Texan Live last night, your first game. Indoors, the volleyball team, Aledo and Pasco. Just overall, how was the commentary?
I got to tell you, man, I don't remember a dang thing. I blacked out. The second I hit go live, something clicked in my brain, and I just went into a different mode. And yeah, I couldn't tell you
I'm usually
how
the
many
same
puns
way.
I might have made. I can't.
I'm usually the same way when I'm on Channel 8. Right after doing 3.5 minutes, and I'm like, I don't even remember what I talked about. But sounds like you had a good.
Yeah. So I got. Yeah, I did. I listened to I watched the playback of last night as soon as we wrapped up because I didn't want to. I thought I was going to hate it, but when I listened to it, I was like, you know what? Actually, I didn't do half bad. So no, it's fun, and I'm looking forward to it. We're contracted with Texan Live to do 4 of each sport for Aledo that's non-football, so volleyball, soccer. We'll be doing soccer in the winter. And basketball, of course, boys and girls. And then when spring rolls around, we'll continue with baseball and softball. So, I'm looking forward to that, keeping me pretty busy.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'll have to come watch you just do your thing, or tune in live and listen to you. But that's pretty awesome. And I'm sure you've heard it before, but you kind of have that broadcaster voice, like that booming voice at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've also been told I have a face for radio. I don't know about that
Mhm.
one, but
I've got that a couple times too. It's all right.
uh,
Well, awesome.
my
Yeah.
my mom likes my face, so
Well, all moms are nice to us. So, all right. So, yeah, you can check him out at Real Nolan Ruth. Again, he'll be at McKinney Boyd, Byron Nelson in McKinney on Thursday, and then Aledo at in Denton for Aledo and Guy on Friday. And then, yeah, college football has already kicked off, but yeah, really kicks off here this weekend on Saturday as these guys are Baylor Bears, and he'll be covering that for Rivals. So, awesome job as always, my friend, and thanks for joining me.
hey, thanks for having me again, brother. Anytime.
All right, that's Nolan Ruth, the Parker County Godfather. And this is another episode of Game Time with the Goss. Brian Gossett here. Check us out on our YouTube page and enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll see you next time.